But talking of global businesses getting impacted because of supply chains, but at the same time winning orders as well. And you can think of Thermax being right in that league as well, right? Its subsidiary secured a large boiler package order for a thermal power project in Madhya Pradesh. It possibly strengthens the execution visibility as well. But I'm sure input costs are getting heightened because of the global commodity pressures. Before we get the management in, let's get in Varsha with some details. Varsha.
Well, talking about the order details, recently they won 1600 crore order for boiler package contract, and the domestic order is valued at around 1600 crore, which is awarded by Anupur Power Projects Private Limited. Now, onto the war impact and commodity pressure when it comes to Thermax, the ongoing conflicts are inflating raw material cost of copper, aluminium, silver. We have seen a surge in those prices, and electrical and other components have also seen surge in prices. Now, talking about chemical segment for this company, they suffered a severe margin and earnings downgrade last year, lowered EBITDA target to 13 to 14% from 17%, but management is expecting strong volume recovery starting Q4. Talking about, on the international orders also, they are bullish when it comes to winning new international orders, and domestic softness is due to ethanol sector slowdown, while data centers are emerging as a new sector when it comes to Thermax. Lastly, on to the order book. The order book as of today stands at around 9,380 crore, which is the execution timelines is almost 12 to 18 months.
Okay, Varsha, thanks for that. Ashish Bhandari, MD and CEO of Thermax, with us on the show. Ashish, thanks so much for taking the time out, and congratulations on an order. It seems that these days order flows, good news are few and far in between considering all that the world is going through. But tell us a bit about, one, this order, and two, also just the ordering activity or the lack of it that you might be seeing in business around you.
Good morning, and a pleasure to be here. Let me start with the order that we publicly announced, which, as you correctly mentioned, is for a supercritical 800 megawatt thermal power plant. And it's a big one for Thermax because it's a breakthrough in a segment for which we were primed for quite some time. This particular project was one after we were engaged with the customer for more than a year. Yeah. And as a company, we wanted to focus on things that we were good at, which is manufacturing the equipment, delivering it under very fast timelines to be able to deliver a quality product, but not get into the site civil construction and the related work that happens. So we were able to structure a contract in a way that it was supply driven for Thermax. The contract is fair for both sides. It has price escalations, and it was closed knowing that some of the commodity prices were going up. Yep. So even we closed this in the last few days of March, knowing some of the pressures that were happening and some of what was happening all around us. And that stretched the negotiations. When the war started, it stretched our negotiations. Overall, very happy that while this will be challenging for Thermax to execute on, strategically, it's a big move for us and signals our capability to do more such projects in the future as well. And what we are seeing all around us is a clear signal that energy security will be more and more important, not just for India, for many other countries as well. And wherever energy security gets discussed, Thermax will have a role to play.
So, Mr. Bhandari, good morning, and thanks so much for taking the time. For those that are not as familiar with the technical details of what you have just described, can you tell us why this opens up the doors for more such projects and what the size of the opportunity is for you? If you can put into context your execution capability as well. So there may be several options available to pursue orders globally as well, but then there may only be certain amount of capability that you've currently built out.
Good questions, both of them. First, let me take the strategy part, and then I'll come to the overall kind of capacity question. On the strategic part, ultra-critical, ultra supercritical project represents the highest in efficiency for a thermal power plant. Yeah, and these are done with a lot of care. It has some of the highest equipment specifications, and very few companies domestically are qualified and capable of doing this. Thermax, with our partner Babcock and Wilcox, whose technology license we have, has the capability, has the manufacturing capability, has the design capability. We needed a breakthrough order, and this is that breakthrough order. So, which is why this is strategically important. India itself has already talked about adding anywhere from 60 to 90 gigawatts of thermal capacity, and less than a third of that has been now kind of bedded out through various options. So this cycle and this capacity addition will go on for the next few years, supercritical and subcritical both. And in both places now, Thermax would have a role to play. On capacity, not just by this particular order, but in our large boilers and the projects portion of those boilers, for the last 3 quarters, we have been adding good orders domestically and internationally. Even in the last quarter, we are now supplying boilers to the US for going into data centers. So this whole portion of our business is going through a significant growth, to the point that very soon we are going to be increasing capacity to be able to keep up with the volumes that we are encountering.
So just before I hand it over to my colleague Hiral, I just want to complete that question, which is that if you're saying that you will add capacity, Mr. Bhandari, over what time frame would this take place? Would it take place as soon as FY27? And what is the kind of capital allocation that you will have to make in order to do that?
I think the capital allocation will be north of 100 crores, and we would work to put that at that capacity within this financial year itself.
Okay. Ashish, good morning. Hiral on this side. My question to you is then, with everything that you're looking at from a capacity addition perspective across segments, I remember the last time I had a conversation with you, you were talking about the pressure that was building up with regards to chemicals as a segment and how you've been candid with regards to what could happen going ahead. And improvement is what we were seeing in the fourth quarter. I don't want to talk to you about numbers, but with the capacity addition, with the pressure that is building on in terms of the input costs across industries right now, how are you looking at Thermax and the industry that you are in deal with all of this?
So I'll break the answer in two parts. Yeah, the first part is Thermax as a whole. Thermax as a whole, we finished the year, and there's nothing that I have to talk about Q4 that would not be easily understood any which way from our numbers, is that we are coming in with an extremely strong backlog, which is significantly higher than the backlog that we have had ever in the past. And that backlog continues to build into Q4 and as we get into next year. We were also seeing an environment where private capex was finally starting to take off, and overall coming in relatively bullish for FY27. Certainly, the war slows many things, and we are just seeing the front end of some of what will happen, but this will play on for several quarters, and depends on when things normalize on the war front, but normalizing at the economy front could take much longer, will take much longer. And that question I would want to wait to answer to see what happens and how things happen. The couple of subplots are that even in this environment, there are many customers who will have to switch fuels, will have to look at alternate ways of managing energy domestically and internationally. And in many of those areas, Thermax has quite a bit of strength, either in terms of services or in terms of new equipment along all of those fronts. The second part is specific to chemicals, for chemicals, I honestly don't have, other than the uncertainty, our commodity cost prices have gone up significantly. Styrene, our single biggest commodity, has gone up by more than 2x in a matter of
Wow.
couple of months. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, supply is very scarce.
Supplies.
So the
Yes. Yeah.
question, very scarce. Two of the biggest suppliers out of Middle East have shut down their plants,
Yeah.
putting global supply at risk.
But Ashish, we also hear, for example, this morning that the government may actually contemplate reducing the duty on from Chinese imports to zero in case that helps some of these. So hopefully it does. But sorry, because we're running out of time, I just had one small follow-up to an earlier question,
Sure.
that answer that you gave, Ashish, which is that this energy security piece that every country will resort to. I saw a headline 7 days back that ONGC's floated tenders worth $20 billion over the next whatever number of time frame in order to explore exploration, etc. Do all of these moves, what the ONGC is doing, what the natural tilt towards energy transition, because you want green energy which is not dependent on imported fuel, etc, does all of this fit in right with a product offering or two or three that you have, and therefore gives you a chance to actually rack up the order book even in a supply constrained period?
Too early to say. Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out overall. Across India, there were a lot of good things happening already. Yeah, and so I wouldn't come and say, look, that it's all gloom and doom. It is clearly not. And even now, we are seeing many customers going ahead with projects. A year ago, we were talking ethanol. 3 months ago, ethanol was dead. With everything that is going on, a lot of companies are saying, look, can we find a way to get ethanol capacity to start going up again? So we are in an environment of flux. We really need to wait this out for 3 months and then say, okay, what's real, what's not. A lot of discussions happening right now on multiple fronts, but clearly it's not all gloom and doom. Yeah, there's a fair amount of business to be had. And for Thermax specifically, coming in with a good backlog and coming in an environment where a lot of our products have got relevance is a good place to be, relatively speaking.
Got it. Okay. Ashish, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us this morning. We look forward to talking to you post your earnings, just to get a sense of how things are changing. Frankly, between now and then also, a lot of things will change, hopefully for the better.
All of it.
Hopefully
Thank
for
you.
the better. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining in. And, by the way, viewers, hopefully for the better means some geopolitical